Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of my podcast. I'm very glad to be doing this again. My name's Brandon, and today I have my friend Lorenzo Metzgar. So, how about you introduce yourself, Lorenzo?
What's up, guys? My name is Lorenzo. I am a videographer and photographer out here in Vegas. I go by the name of Sin City Sports Media on Instagram. Um, Essentially, what I do sports, mostly soccer. I also do basketball. I do boxing, all the different sports, but mostly it's been soccer. I've also been branching to real estate and in photography. So I offer those as well. Um, But as of now, I'm known as a sports videographer slash photographer, or you could even say creator, media management, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so yeah, you do a lot of things related to video editing and just like recording footage for athletes.
Right? Yeah, I record footage, I take pictures for them, and sometimes I do editing. Lately, it's been more of a pain than it should be doing editing. So I'm just kind of laying off the editing for a little bit until I could get that back in order. Maybe towards the end of in the next couple months. High school season is coming up, and college season for soccer. And some of these guys they wanted to do highlights for that stuff. So probably towards the end of that is when I'll get back into video editing, if not before. Just lately, I had some wishy-washy clientele when it comes to editing. Some of them, I didn't want to get into this yet,
It's
but
cool. We can get into it later. I
yeah,
definitely have a question that'll ask you about that.
okay, yeah,
But
definitely, yeah.
aside from you being a full time hustler and sports photographer, you're also
Uh-huh.
my friend. We
Yeah,
hang out. We do some stuff. I mean, literally last week, you and I went to go watch UFC 303 at Buffalo Wild Wings.
yeah, we went over there and
That was
watched
and
Pereira kick that other guy in the man, but I forgot his name, but he got
oh,
kicked
for
in the.
Hashka, oh yeah, that was freaking scary, dude. That head kick, yeah, it completely messed up his hairstyle.
Yep.
Like literally
He
took
ran
away like that
off.
dude's.
He got a
I mean,
buzz.
you've heard the term aura. I'm pretty sure, right?
He got a buzz cut after that. He didn't have no man bun
Buzz
no more.
cut.
I
So
was
yeah,
just
I
a
guess he gave him that nice fresh cut, huh?
yeah.
Shoot. I mean,
Two faced for the price of one.
speaking of
On
which, we should also mention the sponsor for today's video, which was Lorenzo's friend who bought the bottle of Don Julio tequila for us to sip on. That was pretty good. Definitely gave us some fun
yeah.
times. I'm sure Lorenzo definitely had some fun too, didn't you, bro?
Oh my goodness. I had beers. I had well, I think it was just one shot of that, but either way, it was fun. I watched UFC 303 overall was crazy. All the UFC fights that I go to because we always go to Buffalo Wild Wings, hang out, drink, and eventually eat, and
Yes,
it's
sir.
great.
For the most part, yeah. I
We
mean, yeah. There's good vibes, good fights. Yeah, just a
mhm.
good
No,
night
the
over
fight,
there.
the women's fight with the nasty cut that was like as big as the Grand Canyon. Uh,
Oh yeah. Yeah, the
the,
doctor
the
stoppage.
dude
Yeah,
dancing into
Myra
the ring just
Borosova was
knocked
very
out.
unhappy about that stoppage. She wanted to keep on fighting, even though she had that big ass gash on the top of her fucking
Yeah,
face.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, she's a real one for that, but
Really speaks to how tough these guys are for sure.
hmm
Dude, what about that one fight that you remember that one dude who was dancing, Michael Venom
yeah, I was
Page?
gonna say
He was
he was
walking
dancing
on.
on the way to the ring. You don't dance in the ring and get knocked out. Have we not learned
He
anything
didn't
from
get
Ryan?
knocked out, but he got laid on.
Yeah,
He
I
got
mean,
almost choked out in the first round.
yeah, and Ryan Garcia did that and won the fight.
Mm-hmm.
So I
It goes
mean, like
both ways, bro.
that's the lesson to him. Don't dance unless you know you're gonna win the fight.
Yeah, I mean,
Did
it
you
really is that leap of faith, though.
fear
You know,
at the
you're
weigh-ins?
never gonna know unless you actually fight the dude.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of people were kind of like hoping Ian Gary would lose. I know he's not exactly the most popular fighter in the UFC right now. Michael Venom
Uh-huh.
Page does have a lot of fans, so I think that was kind of attributing to his confidence on that night. Which
Yeah.
ultimately backfired, and it pissed you off because I remember you were giving him so much shit for dancing when he was in a
I
freaking body
was
triangle from
pissed.
Gary.
I was pissed that he danced on the way to the ring. I was so happy for him. Like nobody dances on the way to the ring. he's gonna win, and he didn't. I'm like, you
Yeah,
don't
you thought he
dance.
was gonna win. Yeah, just because he had that confidence, I mean I mean,
That's
like I
how
said, having that level of confidence really will make you believe in that guy.
it. I'm telling you, it's like if you do that, you better follow through. I mean, if he couldn't, he couldn't. But it's just, oh,
He became a laughing stock afterwards.
yeah.
Yeah, people that were cheering for him aren't exactly impressed with him when it's all said and done.
Hmm.
Well, let's ask you some stuff so that way the fans and the audience can get to know you better, Lorenzo. How did you get started
Okay.
doing sports photography?
Well, I actually started videography as a whole. I've always been into cameras ever since I was young,
Okay.
like in middle school. From there, I would do the school announcements. I went to Findlay Middle School, did the announcements there, because I was just impressed by it in sixth grade. I'd watch that stuff and be so impressed by it. I
Yeah.
was like, I want to be part of it. So seventh and eighth grade, I did school announcements, and then of course going into high school, same thing. Did the school announcements when they have it on the video.
School
Um,
announcements. That's how you got started, huh?
yep, school
You were
announcements of
getting
all.
experience in early, huh?
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, like at that time, it was just for fun. I didn't really want to get anywhere Well, I didn't take it as professional until my sophomore year in high school when I went to I knew some people, they played soccer, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna film for them. Why not try it? Because
So
I
that's how you got into sports. That's how you got
that's
into
how
that
I
specific
sport.
niche you do. Is because your friends played soccer when you were in high school.
Yeah, yeah. And so that year I just did a bunch of stuff for them, got to meet a bunch of parents, and like this is the reality of it. um I'm grateful for them for allowing me to be a part of their team, their family, their group, whatever you want to call it, to get me to the next level. But it was really up to me to kind of expand, because at that time I was just thinking, oh, I'm just going to do it for them. But then, things fell through. Things fell through very badly.
Ah,
And
that's
these
unfortunate.
guys, some of these guys, I mean, when the sad truth about those kinds of teams, those non the parents, they end up, if they spoil their kids and does not teach them any sort of respect or anything like that, they go on to like spread crazy rumors and all this.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It just manifests
It just
itself into the child's
oh,
behavior.
yeah, but no, the parents allowed it to happen, and they actually believed what they were saying without asking me anything, because I'm just there recording and taking pictures what
Yeah, they
I
just
got.
want to believe their kids, obviously, huh?
Yeah, and I mean, I get that they have to protect their kids, but they could ask me. And of course, it wasn't the whole team, but it was just kind of a thing. Like I don't know, they didn't want me to succeed. Like they were trying to hold back. Like they thought I was doing, like
I
they
guess.
thought I was get to rip them off essentially. Like I was just doing it just until I could expand and then just say bye. But they kind of manifested that into themselves, because I didn't want to be around them, being that they were saying that kind of stuff. So that's exactly what happened. And so it just goes to show, like, if you assume things without asking, and you assume them for too long, you pretty much make it your reality. So, and that's kind of what happened with them. They thought that I was just there to kind of like rip them off and take their money and run and all that kind of stuff. So,
They didn't
um,
trust you.
they they trusted me at first, but then um, one of the kids started talking bad mouthing me, uh, saying that kind of stuff, that I was going to rip them off, and then they were, I don't know, they believed it, and it's um,
I guess
but
this story really ties into this next question that I'm about to ask you, which is
uh-huh.
aside from unfavorable customers, spoiled kids and whatnot. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that you face with your line of work?
um, I think, well, that would
And it
probably
ties back into what
be
you were just saying, right?
That would probably be the biggest. I mean, there's others, but I think that's the biggest challenge. You have parents that don't know any better. You have coaches that are cocky, and then you have players that are spoiled. And they're
I
not
hear you.
taught to respect. Um,
It's
most
really just
recently, I
people, huh?
actually,
Just yeah,
oh, it's
difficult people.
most recently, I had a trainer that I've worked with for a long time. One of his clients, his kids, their parents, I guess, didn't like how I was promoting over there. Probably somebody I worked with in the past that didn't like my work and took it very personal because that's a lot of things, especially parents. What they'll do if they don't like my work for some reason, instead of just kind of telling me um, that they don't like my work, they go and tell their whole group and to tell them to not hire me because they don't like this and this and this.
Oh
And
man, yeah,
I
some gossiping.
about
That sounds like some really immature high school level stuff, man.
yeah, parents are very immature. Some of the parents
And
that
some
I've dealt
adults don't ever actually become adults.
and coaches, yeah, and coaches. I've dealt with threats from coaches. Most recently, I had a trainer. Again, I worked with them, but the parents didn't like how I was promoting my business with their kids, even though I worked with him. And he got upset because he lost them. I says, "How is that? First of all, like that could be a made up story, because I don't work with that coach as much anymore." And so he just kind of said, "Oh well, be careful messing around me." I said, "No, you better be careful, because I do way more than just come here and I don't go over there and film. I do so much stuff for the Vegas community, soccer community, um, and I'm trying to
Now, I seem
branch
like
out
a
of state.
pretty yeah,
Yeah,
a well connected guy, especially in the Vegas sports community.
yeah, yeah. And so like what I've noticed, and this is what got me into, that's another reason why I got into filming, is like the fact that I'm getting called for being ripped off. It doesn't bother me, um, them calling me that, as much as it bothers me to see kids actually getting ripped off by these coaches. They say they're the best trainers ever and they barely do anything, and they just want the money. And like, if you don't give it to them, then that's, they play like, oh, we're here to help you and this and that, but oh, we can't give you any money. Oh well, fuck off then. Like, you know what I mean?
I
It's
guess yeah.
that's
Let me ask
not.
you a follow up question then, because it seems like yeah, you have to deal with a lot of different difficult people in a lot of different industries and a lot of different positions. Like you said, it's parents, it's the students, the players, the coaches, the whole nine
Mhm.
freaking yards. So I guess my question for you would be, what are some good strategies for dealing with such difficult people, and how do you work around them?
Well, that's exactly what I do, work around them. uh Essentially don't deal with them. I mean, it's up to them to hire me. It's up to them to take it personal whether or not they like my work, and take it to that next level to where they're sitting there telling everybody, because they don't know everybody. In fact, the people that they do know are probably like-minded. So,
Right.
being that they're real immature, the people that the parents that they're around are also immature. And I go to these games, these kind of parents that give me a hard time. They give everybody a hard time. They're the ones on the field making a whole bunch of noise, like, "Oh, that's a foul," and this and that, and getting all in the referee's face.
So how do
It,
you respond to that then?
oh, I don't have a response for any of that stuff. I mean,
You don't
uh,
even respond. You just
towards
it's not
me.
even worth your time. Is that what you're saying?
No, oh, so like when it's directed towards me, I says, well, I don't say to them, but in my head, I think, well, I did it for them. I got paid, and if they don't like it, I
You
tell
just
them,
handle business, huh? It's literally just like I was here for a purpose. End of the
yeah,
day.
yeah. End of the day, and so now
That's
the
a very
only
one track mind. Like you're very focused on the task at hand.
right, so the only thing that bothers me, and just recently I had players. This is why I'm taking a little bit of a break from doing edits until maybe around the end of the high school and college season, because I've had so many players from the adult league come and say, "Hey, we need highlights," and then, um, I ask them, and they kind of get upset that I asked them, and
Right.
like they never asked for it, and I'm the one bugging them
It
for the
almost
high.
sounds like you have to walk eggshells around all these people.
Yeah, that, and then you have people that they want it, and then they see it, and it's like, oh no, I don't want this. I'm not going to use it, so I'm not going to pay. I'm like, why'd you ask me for a highlight video if you're not going to use it?
Hmm.
You have me do the work and not pay for it. That's silly.
Yeah, that definitely, yeah, it does seem very inconsiderate of the time, the effort, the energy you're putting in, not to mention the resources. I mean,
Yeah,
you are
and
using your own equipment to be doing this stuff.
oh yeah, and players that are like that.
You could have spent that time recording for somebody else too.
Yeah,
Like you
exactly.
lose so much by doing that.
Players like that, they think that they deserve the world, even though they're not that good. It's always the players that aren't that good that they talk the biggest mess. Because I mean, like the players that used to talk about me back then, when I first started, now half of them they're partying every Friday night. They're probably out about getting ready to go party at some nightclub on the strip, gonna spend all their raspberries and peanuts that they made, scrounge those all up, and go over to the nightclub and spend $20 on some mocktail or whatever.
Right, so you're going the freaking the Conor McGregor route then, huh?
Yeah, so and it's just I mean, it's not bad mouthing any. I don't wish
So
bad
what do
luck
they
on
lack discipline? Is that what it is? Like you
it's
see a
yeah.
lot of players that lack discipline
I,
and lack just
I see a
due
lot of players.
diligence to be able to put in the work and effort consistently.
Mhm. A lot of players lack discipline, and then they deal with people like me. I'm like, hey, reality check. Ripping people off and telling them that you're this and this and this, and you're really not. And that goes for parents, coaches, everybody. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's what you do. It's not what you say. It's what you do. Actions speak louder than words. Everybody knows that.
From the
But
outside looking in, yeah, what are some things that these people could improve upon so that way they could actually like get their career on the right track? Because it
uh,
seems like it could have pretty serious consequences in the future, and they aren't really taking that into consideration.
so what I would say is, I mean, you don't have to be the player that every single day, like even on 4th of July, train. Like, that's up to
Yeah.
you. But don't be the player that slacks so much that, you're just, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm not, I'd rather go party. I'd rather go do this. No,
So what you're saying is
no,
there's a level to which you can relax and there's a level to which you can kind of take it easy, but
right.
don't literally put your career, don't put the fact that you're supposed to be living the lifestyle of an athlete on the line just so you
Yeah.
can basically enjoy these hedonistic practices and just this
Professional
silly
athletes
pleasure.
don't you'll see them at parties and stuff like that. And,
And
a
yeah,
lot of players, they take, oh, because they post on social media that they went and go party. Oh, I could party too because Neymar does it or Ronaldo. They don't do it
you
every.
ain't Neymar yet, boy.
They don't do it every Friday and Saturday night. They do it like maybe after a game win or something like that. A big game anyway. And so I would just say like discipline is key, consistency is key. Um, whatever you're comfortable with, because you do want to be comfortable with training, because that's the goal. Like the goal to having the discipline to train, uh, and then eventually being comfortable with training, and really being uncomfortable with not training.
Oh, okay.
That's
Being uncomfortable with not training. Go
yeah,
into
being
detail about that. What do you
like
mean by that?
for a certain amount of time, it's like, oh man, I'm like, it's like you have to put yourself in that mindset, and then your body's gonna get used to it eventually. Um, so you just, and I say that for all athletes, train at least 3 times a week, at least. Um, because if you do 3 times a week, say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, so you have games Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, guess what? Thursday's a rest day. If you train for only 3 times a week, then you have a rest day, and then you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday game day. And that's worst case scenario. Sometimes there's only games one day out of the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's, I consider that the weekend anyway. Um, you might only have a game out of one of those days. Um, and so, but you got your training in, so that way, at least you're ready. But worst case scenario, you have games Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but you train Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then you have Thursday as a rest day.
You got to do a lot of scheduling, huh? That's what I'm getting from what you're saying right now. You would
Um,
agree?
so the scheduling thing is really
Especially
just
because yeah, I mean the days of games really does matter. You know, I
yeah,
mean you have
yeah,
to learn how to make that work with your lifestyle as well.
yeah. Game day really does matter in terms of scheduling, but at least train 3 times a week. And of course, there's always those times where you have a bunch of games, like during the week, and but usually it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the most. Like if there's a tournament or something like that over the weekend, at least train 3 times a week. I would say to the players, but
So now let's take the focus of this conversation back to your business and what you're doing.
hmm
What would you say the long term goals for your business are? Like, where do you see
uh,
yourself doing? What do you see yourself doing down the line with Sin City Sports Media?
so essentially, a lot of people are telling me to keep my name. I wanted to change my name to something that's more broad, being that my main goal is to start going out of state and start making. Okay, I'll give you guys an example. So I went to Phoenix last year
Okay.
for the weekend. It was a weekend tournament, and I made nearly $2,000 just to
Dang.
go out there
Okay.
and take pictures. And so, what I want to do is do more of those kind of tournaments where I travel to nearby states, and eventually, branch out even further to places I would have to fly to, like even Texas or Chicago, Florida, New York,
Okay.
those places. Um, but take small steps. Do more tournaments in Arizona, Utah, California. What else is close? Idaho. I don't. Just
Freaking yeah,
areas
Utah. Yeah,
that are dry.
Arizona. Shoot. Oregon. What would you say?
Oregon is a maybe. Even that, like anywhere where really where I'm led to go. But that's the goal, is to do more tournaments where I travel.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, you want to branch out. That's really that's what you want to take do for your future. Whether it's yeah changing your name up to encompass something that's more general, or
yeah,
just yeah increasing your reach out to different states. You want to expand your business.
yeah. I want to expand because right now I'm doing pretty much almost everything in Vegas. Oh, I think the only thing I don't do is like UNLV, 'cause for soccer.
UNLV would be a pretty that would be like a good spot to get some business
The
for
only
sure.
reason the only reason why I don't do UNLV is because their coach there is a mess.
Oh,
Um,
really?
the film program at UNLV is even more of a mess.
Really?
CSN better.
That's
Uh,
very surprising.
yeah, yeah, it is. It's very surprising, and
How is it a
UNLV
mess?
don't really recruit players from Vegas. A lot of players from Vegas go to CSN if they're going to play, still stay here and play college. Nobody gets recruited at UNLV. It's a lot of players from overseas, or
That's
you
always
look at
shocking.
the roster, you'll see like some people from like Germany and just even anywhere around the country except for here in Vegas.
That
A
sounds
lot of
pretty interesting, but I mean,
yeah,
shoot, what's stopping you from being able to do business with these guys? Because if you're working with international players, that
that
definitely is getting you some reach.
I did work with UNLV briefly, and when I say briefly, like 1 or 2 games. I actually would go to the UNLV facility for an adult league team here called the Legends, which that was a better connection. The team itself, I'm not really crazy about, and their internal management, because at the time I was working with them internally. But it did get me the connection to the league, which is called Southwest Premier. Nissan, there you have Southwest Premier, Nissan Nation, United Premier. Those are all kind of connected. Uh,
Okay,
it's like in a big semi-professional league in America. So it got me the connection to that. Me and actually one of the managers from the Legends, he got promoted to be manager of the Nevada division for the Southwest Premier League. So I was able to use that connection to now I work for the whole entire league.
that's a
Uh,
very intelligent use of networking.
yeah. And so, but going to an actual UNLV game, I pretty much got cussed out because
Oh
one,
damn.
again, here we go with these coaches. They think they're the top dogs. Nobody can touch them, whatever.
Right.
Uh,
A bit of a superiority complex is what you're
yeah,
saying.
egos is what it is. Egos amongst a lot of these people. The coach told me that, oh, I couldn't be there, and then he went up in his own player's face and said, why are you trying to run around for the cameras and you're just trying to do all this stupid stuff for to be on film? You're trying to be famous and all this stuff. That's because that player was the one that hired me to go,
Mm.
trying to put fear in them. And I says that's up to them whether they have people there or not. You would think at UNLV they have people filming there already.
Yeah, and it is. It is like, yeah, pretty much the only freaking university in this city, aside from
Yeah,
NSU, which nobody even really talks about.
yeah. Nevada State University, nobody goes there.
So,
I don't think any. I don't know. It's out there. I've been there. It's out in the middle of nowhere
oh
on the.
really?
Yeah, it is. It's out there.
Do they
Um,
even have any sports teams?
no,
Jeez.
nothing. They didn't have. I don't even know what kind of classes they have.
I mean, I'm pretty. I mean, I do know somebody that graduated from there. I believe they majored in like communications or something like that. So I mean, definitely seems like, I would say it seems like an option of higher education for like people that aren't looking to spend too much on that stuff.
Yeah,
If they're trying to save money on going to college, not trying to like sink themselves into debt, they'd probably go to
right.
something like NSU.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But as far as sports, again, UNLV, UNLV is like if I get the opportunity to work with them, then great. But it's not something that I have on the list as far as like CSN. CSN, I've always had on the list. I went to CSN. Um, for I majored in videography at CSN, and so they saw that and said, "Hey, we could use you to run the our live stream." And I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And so I run their live stream, but I think for this year, if I don't run their live stream, I'll use my own equipment,
Okay.
and then take pictures and videos for the at least for the soccer team. If I don't do it for everybody else, but we'll see what for this year what they want me to do. But lately, past 2 years, I worked with CSN, um, and then again, I worked with Southwest Premier, which was at first United Premier when they kind of reinstated themselves after. Because again, I worked with Legends, but they were part of the Southwest Premier League like maybe
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago. Um, and then they kind of died off, and Legends was the only one to keep going under the NISA league. Um, which those games will be played at UNLV. And again, internally, the Legends, I wasn't crazy about them. The players were all right. The management was kind of iffy. And then now the Legends players are kind of iffy. But regardless, they're still a good team. But now I do the Southwest Premier, the United Premier. Um, and that's another one. They go out to California. Actually, I think 2 weeks from now, they're going to be out in California for the Southwest Premier Finals. So all the regions of the Southwest Premier, California division. I'm not sure exactly how it is, but the Nevada division, and then you have the divisions out in California and Arizona and all that stuff. They're going to go out to California to compete for the uh, Southwest Premier Championship. So they're
What's
going
it
to win.
out of Southwest Premier?
Yeah.
We're going to be talking a bit about philosophy.
Okay.
We do a quote for every episode. The quote for today is by Epictetus,
Hmm.
and he says, the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Basically refers to, yeah, the type of people that you should have around you. You know, the type of friends that you should have if you're trying to really maximize your quality of life and your overall improvement as a human being. You want
Yeah.
people that are going to bring the best out of you. You want people that are going to be instilling good habits, good mindsets, good patterns. You don't want to be around people that are convincing you to do things like go to a party and get drunk after a soccer game when you have another tournament next week.
There you go. Um, and for that, honestly, like, here's the thing: a lot of people are desperate to have some type of company.
Very
What
true.
what kind of relationship it is. There's a lot of people that are desperate to have some type of company, which is where the whole fitting in thing comes in. Which, with that follows going to parties all the time after the game or
Yeah.
something. That's to fit in, and again for
Like
desperate.
trying to conform, trying to get everybody to like you by
Yep.
following what the crowd does.
And that quote is pretty much the opposite of that. You have to pick and choose who you're around. First, you have to develop yourself to
Yeah,
know.
understanding yourself is that's
Yeah,
very good. Yeah, that's a good way to start. Understanding what you want and who you are, so that way you can determine what you let into your life.
yeah, knowing who you are, knowing who you want to be, who you are, and who you want to be, and then
So why
uh,
is it crucial to establish that type of identity for yourself?
because, like, let's say you, like for me, I run a business. I
Okay.
wouldn't. So for running a business, you're going to be around people, a bunch of personalities. You're going to have people that are uh, like-minded as you, so they also want to start a business and they take advice from you or stuff like that. Or like with me, it's mostly the athletes. They want to progress in their career and they want to get the idea of being successful. Um, and then you have uh, like I wouldn't want to be around people that are always going to parties. Actually, there's people like that, and of course, there's athletes that are like that. But
We
I'm
do
not.
live in Vegas, after all. We
Yeah,
do live in Sin City.
yeah, but it's
But
not like
obviously, yeah, you want better for yourself, right? I mean, you
yeah,
have a standard that you're trying to hold to yourself.
exactly. And so, and I say to all people, don't try and fit in with every single thing, every single trend. Um, a lot of that too is like the music, social media, and stuff like that, which is all good, but you can't let it influence you to the point where you want to be like them. There's so many people they want to be like these rappers that they see talk about they want to shoot each other and do all
Oh,
this.
you're talking about when they idolize figures, huh? When they like
Yeah,
practically worship them.
yeah, like yeah, that too. But that falls into because they want to be like them. That's who they want to be, or
Hmm.
that's who they feel that they need to be. But it's again it's you got to surround yourself with people. You got That's why it's important to identify who you really are, not what you're told to be, not what you think you want to be because of what somebody else is doing, regardless if it's whatever friend group you're in, or you know your favorite rapper or favorite person on TV, whatever. No, you got to do what you got to find your calling,
Yeah, you got
basically.
to
You got
do. You need to have that. I like it because you're saying that you need to have that individuality. You need to embrace what makes you unique.
Yep, exactly. You got to find what makes you unique and then use that to develop. Okay, so I'm unique in this way. So what can I do career wise that brings that out in me? Because um, what makes you unique? That's why they tell you, like in interviews, you got to find a way to make yourself unique because everybody's going to go to an interview and say, oh, I'll
I
be the
do
person.
X, Y, and Z. I have this skills, that skills, blah blah blah
Yeah,
blah blah.
yeah. So, like for example, I'll say I worked at Starbucks when I was in college, and what made me unique was that I liked talking to customers. I had so much experience because at that time I've already done 4 years of filming. Now I'm on my fifth year,
Hmm.
um, so I've just had so much experience talking with customers. I like doing it. And then really all I needed to learn was making the drinks. But that was my uniqueness, being able to talk to people and not being scared and stuff like that. Um, which I'm just off track just a little bit. I just want to say a lot of the issues that I've had with my business, I do also feel that it comes from the fact that I'm not scared. And so some people, they try to make you fearful of them, or whatever it is, of whatever concept they want, and they see that you're not afraid, so they try to make you afraid. You're not going to make somebody afraid that's already afraid. They're going to go after somebody that's not afraid and try and make them afraid.
Hmm.
So it's kind of that whole intimidation thing, which is something I don't go for because it's like, for what? You're just wasting my time trying to tell me that, oh, I better be scared of you, like that coach that I was saying earlier.
Right.
Uh, that, oh, you better be careful. I'm like, careful of what? There's no such thing as being careful when you run a business. There isn't. Um, there's only, you learn, you do what you do, and you learn lessons. And then that's how you, if you are going to be careful, I mean, you have to learn what to be careful of, because everybody's personality is different. And
Knowing what
again,
to look for.
nobody's the same person. You can't be like someone else and follow someone else's footsteps. It's just, you can use that as an idea of where you want to go, but you can't follow their footsteps.
I like that. So now we're gonna get into some Q&A. I had you guys ask some questions for Lorenzo and we actually got some pretty good ones. We even got some good questions for Lorenzo. So let's get into that. Our first question is from Vikanae. He says, I'm having body dysmorphia with no exercise for 4 years. How do I get back into exercising in a healthy manner? So I'm going to actually dissect this answer into two parts. Firstly, I'm going to talk about your body dysmorphia. And secondly, I'm going to talk about you getting back on track and exercising in a healthy manner. So for your body dysmorphia, I am well aware that yeah, a lot of that is psychological and like has to do with your image of yourself, right? How you're looking at your body. So I mean, I guess I don't know if you know this already, but obviously there really is no such thing as like a perfect ideal body. I mean, I guess you can see it all the time perpetuated in social media and pop culture and all that about for men, having like the big ripped pecs, the freaking nice big shoulders, juicy arms, ripped washboard abs, the whole nine freaking yards. While with women, it's having, the hourglass body, having perfectly proportioned hips, freaking nice legs, all that shit,
Yeah.
but I mean, really, I mean, like, I could, I could mention some real life examples and I'll use MMA just because, that's what I know the best. Look at somebody like Sean O'Malley, a tall, skinny dude. He looks like a freaking twig, but he's currently the UFC bantamweight champion. He has speed that is pretty much unrivaled by anybody else in his division, and he's known for packing a big, strong punch. He doesn't have, big, strong pecs. He doesn't look like a big, yoked bodybuilder, but he's still very athletic and very able with his body. Now we could go on the opposite side of the spectrum. We could look at somebody like Daniel Cormier, who was the UFC light heavyweight champion and the UFC heavyweight champion, and had a big old belly. He literally made a skit where he was dancing around with Popeye's chicken and talking about how much he loved that shit. Okay, he was a very proud and happy fat boy. And still, he was freaking screwing those guys up, man. He was like lifting people up, dumping them on their heads, freaking slamming them, just out wrestling guys, pushing the pace on them. He was an athletic beast. So the point of what I'm trying to say is don't look at your body and think, "Oh, my body's ugly. Don't my body my body's not at all what I want it to be." Because you have your own gifts and your own talents. You have your own areas where you will flourish. So if you focus and take time to look at what you're good at, I think you will definitely appreciate yourself more. This is body dysmorphia. I'm well aware that it's very different to actually experience it yourself, and that every situation is unique. But that's what I would say to that aspect. Now getting into you exercising in a healthy manner, you really just do something small and do it consistently, bro. It doesn't like don't have this idea that you have to do like some big elaborate crazy exercise every time you get into a workout, okay? Just a little something to get the blood flowing, and as long as you do that consistently over a long period of time, you will see results. If you said you haven't exercised in 4 years, I would I would tell you to just get started by trying to do like 10 push-ups. If you can't do that, that's cool. Just find where you're good at, or get a good idea of what your limit is, and then just steadily push it from there. You don't have to take a big strong leap within like the first month of you exercising. Just find something simple and stick with it, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that question. Now this question is from Evan Norris. He says, "What do you think about fighters getting kicked out of the UFC because of marijuana use?" I heard Nick Diaz got kicked out of the UFC because of that. I believe marijuana is actually legal now in the UFC, which is pretty freaking cool. I will say that. There are a lot of stoners that fight in MMA. I will say. So I mean, in terms of marijuana, I mean, yeah, obviously there's the two main ones, THC and CBD. A lot of people like to use CBD for, medicinal purposes and for recovery. A lot of people also like to use THC for recovery, but there's, some recreational users as well. And from what I've observed, it doesn't really seem to impair your physical or athletic ability too much, which is probably why a lot of fighters are doing it and are still fairly successful. I guess, I mean, Lorenzo, talking to you, because you're very experienced in the soccer community. How would you
Hmm.
say marijuana affects athletes in that
Oh,
area?
so a lot of the stoners that I know that they smoke, they end up quitting.
Ah, really?
Yeah, no, they end up quitting,
Okay.
um, and they get into that. Now, the CBD thing, um, that's because you have the oils and all that stuff. You rub it on you, and that's different. But doing it essentially just for fun, rolling up this big ass roach, cockroach looking thing, and putting a lighter to it. Um, no, I would like, okay, the UFC has their rule to, not marijuana is legal in the UFC, which, and it's most likely because of the THC and CBD for recovery. But
Yeah, I
of
think a
course,
lot of people have been trying to build a case for that it can be very useful for medicinal purposes.
yeah, I mean, that's why the whole thing with marijuana, that's why now it's legal because of the CBD. There is benefits. And people have been saying that for years, that marijuana has benefits. It's just there's some people, and it's the same thing with alcohol, um, that they overdo it and they can't handle it, and they end up doing all these crazy things that don't even make sense, or
Imagine somebody chugging a 40 before a soccer game. They're like, I'm gonna hit this goal, bro. Watch.
oh yeah, that too, and I've seen that.
You've actually seen that happen? That's insane. I was literally just joking.
That no, it's so one of the other leagues that I record is it's called La Mayor. I call it the Ghetto League, and it is. It's like players that are actually washed out, but they still feel like they have enough talent. Some of them actually, you know what? I'll give them a break because some of them are actually there just to play for fun, just to have something to do in their off season or whatever you want to call it, because they still go to college and all that stuff. But of course, over the summer they're not doing anything, so they play in that. Um, but yeah, players that are washed out, they're like in their 30s, and that's what they do. They chug a 40 before they play, and then what happens?
That's.
They end up fighting some kids that are
I
like
want to
six.
see you record these guys playing. I want to freaking see a video of that, bro. I
Yes,
want to
I
see what these guys. I want to see how these guys are fucking playing after that shit, bro.
it was I'll have to send it to you, but it was last year. My own cousin, he got in a fight with these guys that were probably drunk playing, and then got upset that they were losing, and then started fighting their team.
Ah, dang.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's something that you just have to be careful with. Now the whole CBD and THC thing for recovery, yeah, I would say definitely be using that, especially for UFC. That's some hardcore stuff. But the
It's almost like you need something strong to kind of rest afterwards.
and
But
yeah,
there are, I mean, shoot, I can't talk though because there are those freaking Russian fighters, bro. Those Russian MMA fighters.
yeah, yeah.
Those guys, they look at that like it's all halal, bro. So to each their own. To each their
Yeah,
own.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Hold up. Okay. So This is from this. These questions are from Logan Kerrigan. We actually
Hmm.
got two. This one, yeah, this one's actually. These ones are targeted for you, Lorenzo.
Okay.
So, firstly, Lorenzo, what are your current goals to grow your business?
Well, as I was saying earlier, pretty much just expanding. I talked about Southwest Premier, talked about the CSN and the colleges, just kind of expanding in any way that I can. Like with CSN, whichever division they're in, just going to whichever other schools within that division, and even if I travel with the teams to go record or take pictures for them, that in a way is for me is a way of expanding for me. Same thing with Southwest Premier, like they're going out to the finals. I don't think this time I'm going to do it, but maybe next time, and just kind of the overall goal is expanding. Out of state, going out to these different states to go record and take pictures, and just get well known around the country, and then maybe even eventually across the globe. Because again,
Yeah, dude.
it
Yeah,
all
dude.
it all starts here. These players, like they take it serious enough, they might be out in Mexico, or they go overseas to Europe to go play, like Spain or Germany,
You see
France.
some guys that got good potential?
Yeah, anybody that has good potential, they have and then being that I have the connection with them, that's definitely possible. Now, that's not why I'm making a good connection with these players that have passion. Of course, these guys, it's more just about sharing the passion, because my philosophy anyway is, regardless of if they're involved or if they're not involved, or who's involved, I should say, that's my goal. I'm going to do what it takes to achieve it. Um,
Yeah.
Regardless of who I
What
meet.
about okay? Let's say for the next 6 months, what would you say are some things that you have going on that will take you on the trajectory to meeting that goal?
For the next, I mean, the next 6 months, business in general is very unpredictable, especially at this level where you're constantly meeting new people. Um, I'm branching out into real estate and weddings as well. So, I mean, that could be another way out to just getting to know people and traveling more. It could even be through real estate, it could be through weddings.
Uh huh.
Um, So, the sports isn't the only way. And as I would say, as a business owner, don't limit yourself to the ways. Have a niche, of course, have a way of advertising yourself,
Hmm.
but don't limit yourself to what you advertise. Don't become a slave. That's what you made up to start your business. Don't become a slave to that, because that's
Yeah.
something you made, and that's something that you can change as time goes on. So don't ever feel like you have to become a slave to whatever it is you niche. But the
Yeah.
6 months,
Okay, that's yeah. Yeah, obviously. So yeah, what you're saying is you wouldn't necessarily want to just be completely locked on to soccer.
yeah, yeah,
That's I mean that's very wise though.
uh-huh. But in the next 6 months, I do see myself traveling more often, um, and going out with the soccer teams to record for them and take pictures for them. I would even say, like, within the next year. Um,
Nice.
Maybe not so much the next 6 months, but maybe the next year.
Hey, that's still progress, man.
Yeah, yeah. Progress is progress,
And
regardless.
that's yeah, it's specifically tied to what your ultimate goals are for building your business and your
Yep,
brand.
yep.
Okay, this next question that we got from Logan. What is something that you wish you knew before starting your career path?
Um, I would say knowing how to deal with phony people, like
Very
these
interesting.
the people that I dealt with, that kind of put me through challenges. Um, I learned how to deal with those people over time. Um, but I honestly, the only thing I would say is knowing how to deal with those people ahead of time, and just really just knowing I would have to deal with those people. Because when you first start out, you don't really think.
Knowing you don't have to deal with those people. Yeah, so that you always have a choice at the end of the day. And
Uh huh.
probably the smartest and wisest choice would be to just walk away.
Yep. Yeah, don't waste your time on people because that's what they're do. That's what they're there to do is waste your time. If they're gonna do that kind of stuff, that's their goal. I mean, even if it isn't, that's how you have to look at it. They want to waste your time.
They just want to waste your time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
especially if you have your own goal and you have your own purpose, yeah, you're not going to be wasting your time on that.
yeah.
You're
No,
gonna be geared and targeted towards things that are actually helping you achieve what you want to fulfill.
exactly. And I mean, and it's not something again. The image thing, the whole thing about oh well, I have to prove myself. I've dealt with so many people like that too. They felt like they had to prove themselves to me, and like oh yeah, I'm this good at doing this, I'm this good at doing that. And it's like no, when you're actually good at something, it's because you do it so much that you like if somebody asks you to do it, you just do it. You don't sit there and to say oh I'm better than this person because I do this and this and this and to give a whole breakdown. I don't do that. I just go out there and do whatever they ask me to do with videos or pictures. And
Goes
then
back to what you said. Your actions mean a lot more than your words.
exactly, and especially in business,
Yeah,
especially
especially
because
in business. Yeah, yeah,
market
actionable moves. I mean, unless you're like talking about like a company that has a shit product but a really good marketing strategy,
yeah, and so
then I
yeah,
mean that's a lot more bark than there is bite.
yeah, when you're marketing you should, and when you have a good product, you shouldn't feel like you have to brag about it being a good product. Like I'll just say, like real quick with cars, everybody wants that expensive Ferrari or Maserati, Lamborghini, those kind of cars. You're not going to see commercials for those cars, barely ever.
Hmm. Yeah, that is very true. Yeah, because the higher wealth classes know that they exist. Their target customers, their target market is well aware about what those brands have to offer, and they're not trying to sell their shit to the average guy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So they don't need to. Those things cost like $2 million.
Yeah, I
Or,
mean they're looking for somebody that can actually pay for that shit, not just somebody who can drool.
yeah. Yep. So, and that goes for anything in business. Know your product, and of course, try and sell your product, but give a reason to not have to talk about your product more than you actually produce your product.
Mm-hmm.
And like my strategy personally is produce the product first, and then talk about it. Say, hey, did you like
Yeah,
it?
so that way you actually have something that you're promoting, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you don't want to be freaking. You don't want to be like those freaking snake oil salesmen, or just freaking those crypto Ponzi scheme guys on Instagram.
No. 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 No.
Those
No.
self improvement guys, those bootleg Andrew Tates.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
They're
seen
the ones that are all click the link in my bio to freaking watch my course on how to become
there. I know
successful.
a player
I
that
have a
got.
course on how to become a millionaire in 3 months. Drop
I,
shipping.
I know actually going back to the players. I know a player that's got into that. He's kind of got suckered into. I told him not to do it. He got mad at me because I told him not to do it. But then, sure enough, it didn't work out. It's like, well, yeah, because it's you're not actually building your own self, and that's another thing that can go into individuality. When you get into businesses like this, they're going to try and tell you like, oh no, you should work for us because you can make this much money on our pyramid scheme, and really, yeah, you can, but you're not doing what you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, well,
And when
I mean,
you're doing what you want
depends. I
to make,
mean, some of those people are literally just doing it to make a quick buck. I mean, it's not like I would highly doubt that these people have like a strong emotional attachment to these types of things. You know,
and it's not even the emotional part of it. It's just
it's like a means to an end.
part, part of it is I will say part because they're people that don't have some any sort of emotional, not even emotional, but just like a personal connection. Like, oh, like this is a skill that I've always had for, like, even for me. Like, I did filming since I was in middle school, so I have a personal connection to filming that way. So I could see myself doing this for the rest of my life.
That
Matter of
gives
fact,
you that passion, though, for sure. I mean, yeah, you
well,
yeah,
that's
it's.
yeah,
I don't think you'd be able to put in the level of effort that you put into filming if you didn't love it. You know.
exactly. And so those guys on the pyramid scheme, although they make good money, eventually they're not gonna want to do it. they might think they have enough money to just retire and just kind of live their life and do whatever, but
No, I mean, these motherfuckers are spending that shit on watches and
or
supercars
they
just so
spend
they
it.
could flex on Instagram that they have money. So
Yeah,
and they'll
yeah,
probably be back soon. They'll probably, honestly, I mean, these things tend to recycle themselves as well. They rebrand themselves. They just take on like a different form. It's basically a snake shedding its skin.
yeah.
You'll see the same shit, but it's just like wrapped up in a new present.
The players change, but the game remains the same.
Very true. Very true. And honestly, we could tie that into as well. I mean, a lot of people nowadays are just working jobs that they have no passion for. That they really they don't really get fulfillment from doing that. You know,
Again, the coaches, the trainers that
food
I've
on the
some
table.
they same thing. They only do it because they say, "Oh, I have enough experience and I want to make money off of training." They don't have any sort of any, so they don't care for these kids.
Hmm.
The training, they don't. They care about the money. They care about making the quick buck because they'll pretend
They just care
that
about lining their pockets, huh?
they'll yeah, as long as they're paying them. But as soon as they stop, they say, "Oh, I don't know who you even are," or
You think
they
that's
don't.
why you've had so many problems with them and how they've like interfered with your business?
So essentially, they did the same thing to me. They said, "Oh, well, ran a whole muck of, oh, we're gonna have you do this and this and this." I said, "Okay, that's your plan. Let me know when you're ready, because I'm ready. I don't have to prepare. I don't have to because it's somebody different. Oh, I have to prepare. No, I film and take pictures for a living. This is my passion. This is something that I can do with my eyes closed, and it's not nothing. I've done it for so long. I could do it without having to prepare. That's another thing. If you have to, like, of course, there's things that you have to be prepared for, but if there's something like if you're like, okay, for you for MMA, you're training consistently, and then you
Yes.
have a fight coming up. You keep training consistently. When that fight comes, you're not going to overtrain.
No,
Um,
that's
I
a very real risk as well. Like I honestly cannot stress it highly enough how many athletes have had failed careers just because they trained too much.
yeah.
Honestly, overtraining is a bigger risk than undertraining.
So that same concept goes into filming, and like if I do all this stuff to prepare for a certain person that I'm filming for because they're that person, and it's like, no, I already know what I'm doing. I already have an idea. I just need to maybe take a few minutes to analyze the space that I'm filming in, the what essentially the set. That's what they call it in the set, but it's not an actual real set with the lights and all that stuff on it. But yeah, analyze the set. Only take me a minute, maybe 30 seconds, and then boom, I go from there. Um, but it's these guys, these coaches. They say they're going to do it, and then they don't. Players do the same thing. Some parents do the same thing.
When you have a
But
lot of people that are depending on you, that's a pretty low thing to do.
yeah, yeah,
You're
and
indirectly responsible for the success of these athletes. I mean,
yeah,
it would be hard to imagine, man. Like, you imagine you're like an ambitious young athlete. You're trying to really make a career for yourself, and you want
yep,
your name to go down as one of the greats. But then you just
yep.
have a shitty coach who's just doing it for the money. You just have a shitty coach who doesn't really care about your development or your progress. He's just there so that way he can get his fucking hours in.
So many players that quit just because of that.
It
But
sucks, dude.
it's horrible. But these coaches, they don't care because they're getting their money. So just stop paying them, and then we'll see what happens. That's all. Stop paying them. Don't go to them. They think that they're the best because they're getting the money. All they can all stop going. Because again, that trainer that made up that whole thing, he's like he has all this money, but oh, I lost two clients because of you. So you better be careful.
Oh,
Um,
jeez, what's all that?
yeah, that was what I was talking about earlier. That one coach that I would film for, and then he stopped, or I stopped, and then he came at me bitching because he lost two clients. And I'm like, well, you have enough money from your rest of the clients to get a brand new Audi and then live in a nice part of town. I mean, what's two clients to you, you know?
Mm.
If that's the case, and number two, that's not even my fault. That's their fault for thinking that number one, I'm partnered with you and having something against me so bad that they quit going to you. Like, I don't screw people over. I don't rip people off. But parents, they have a way of, they have their way of delusion, basically. They have their way of just, if they don't get things their way, that's how they throw their fit.
Mm.
Go and spread rumors. So
Immature.
again, I just kind of just let it, not let it slide, but it's just there's nothing I can really do about it.
Right. Right.
So
I mean, that's well, that's literally what you said earlier. I mean, which is that sometimes the best thing to do is just walk away, or that you have a choice whether or not you want to deal with them or not.
yeah, because again, they waste your time. They all they do is waste your time. They want to get that attention out of you just to waste your time.
Okay. Let's look at the last question that we have here. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. This one is from Jay Calhoun. This one is from my boy Lorenzo. Will you ever expand your business to other genres? Which, I mean, I believe we have answered this, but go ahead, Lorenzo. I'll let you take it
Um,
from here.
well, yeah, right now I'm doing real estate and weddings as my secondary niches, I guess. Because of course, my primary one is sports, but my secondary ones are real estate and weddings. Now, incorporating that into my bit, that's another reason why I've been thinking about changing my name. For now, I'm going to keep it Sin City Sports Media, but eventually I want to change it like Zola's Flicks or something like that. Um, to incorporate the fact that number one, that I travel. That's the number one reason why. But the second reason why is because if I incorporate different niches, different genres, like again real estate and weddings, because again right now it's just a kind of a sidetrack that I do. Like yeah, I offer that, but it's not something that I'm focusing on. It's just something that I'm off. I'm not even known for doing real estate and weddings. It's just something that I just so happen to do. Being that
It's just it's you're still it sounds like you're still trying to branch out to there. You're still in the beginning phases of it.
branch out because there's athletes that I've done like all these like okay the wedding that I did it was an athlete it was a sibling of the athlete that I recorded for when he was playing soccer and his sister was the one getting married so um and then real
Okay, so
estate
yeah, that one connection, yeah, got you something else. I mean, yeah,
yeah
you're really good at leveraging your connections. Is
hmm
what I'm getting from this. Whether it was you talking to that soccer coach to where he could get you into the Southwest League, it was.
the Southwest Premier yeah
Yeah, the Southwest Premier. Yeah, you getting that connection to get you in there.
yeah
You talking about it now, doing wedding photography for that one soccer player's sister. I
yeah
mean, there's so many different ways that you can utilize the connections and the people that you know to your advantage, and it definitely seems like you're applying that in real time.
hmm yeah that's what you have to do any sort of business it's about like connecting the dots really
Yes, sir. Connecting the
aspect of this
dots.
the dots
Mm-hmm. Yep, making a picture from the lines.
yeah
Okay, I think I'll cut it out from here. Gee,
hmm
thank you for your time, Lorenzo. We definitely talked about some really interesting stuff. I like that we
hmm
talked a lot about self improvement. We talked a lot about things like discipline, having passion for what you actually want to do in life, how to navigate certain people that are a bit difficult to be around.
Yeah, yeah.
We definitely talked about a lot of useful things that I think the audience will be able to apply in life. So thank you for adding value to my podcast, Lorenzo.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm glad that I was able to come on and help out and spread because that's what I do. That's another reason why my business I do what I do because it's helping out people that are passionate, help them give direction, just help them achieve their goals.
Yeah. Okay, so this is an opportunity for you to
hmm
promote yourself and your brand. So I'll give you a minute to just basically let the audience know about any links they should click on to follow you. You know, ways to contact you, things like that.
Um, So again, I don't know if this podcast. I'm gonna try and get it on my page, some type of way. But again, my Instagram is Sin City Sports Media. If you don't already, go ahead and give me a follow. I do again sports, all sports, mostly soccer. I also do basketball. I do boxing, baseball, a lot. And again, I also do real estate and weddings. All the examples that I have of this stuff are posted on my page. You can go ahead and have it take a look on my page. If you like what you see, give me a DM. All my information is on my page. If you want to text or call me, my number's on my page, or you can just DM me through Instagram. And then we could talk about pricing. We could talk about setting. If you want to set something up with me, just feel free to reach out and ask for some information. I'll give again pricing. And then if you want to set something up, just set something up. I'll make sure I'm available, and we can go ahead and get going with that. So, anyways, anything else, Brandon?
No, I think we're good. I mean, I will be dropping the links to Lorenzo's social media and contact methods in the bio and the comment section of this video. So be on the lookout for that. I think that's it. Thanks for coming on, Lorenzo. I really appreciated having this time to talk with you.
Oh, yeah, thank you for having me out.
Thank you to the audience of this video. We will. I'm trying to make this podcast a weekly thing, so bear with me on that. Also, ask more questions, man. I really want this to be a platform for us to have some interesting dialogue. I want this podcast to be able to provide value in other people's lives. So, you asking questions definitely adds layers and depth to this podcast. So, yeah, just keep interacting, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. That'll be it, and have a good day, you guys.